Hello there. Welcome back to the Austin and Jason Show. Today's our special Summit League edition. I'm happy to be here. Jason is kind of tolerating being here. And we have a special guest, simulcast from Fargo, our friend, my other friend Jason, whom I've corralled into being here. So, I guess...
Austin!
Yeah,
it's great to be here.
Yeah, with that kind of enthusiasm, I'm sure you enjoy hanging out with me. Well, before we get to the Summit League, we do have one news item to discuss. Apparently, Montana State did not want to make the trip to the Fargo Dome next year. I was thinking that they might want to change their mascot to the Prairie Chickens, but...
They called up Gene Taylor and they said that they wanted to buy out their $100,000 clause within their contract, and so we now have another open date to fill. It was late, and I know Gene Taylor was pretty upset, and they're actively pursuing a replacement, but it's getting really late in the game.
It's going to be hard to find a good replacement. Between Montana State and Western Carolina, I was doing some research, and apparently the Bison cannot win their a berth into the playoffs by having the other teams forfeit. We do have to find somebody to play at some point.
We actually do have to play a game, I understand.
Your take, Big No?
Well, it's to be honest, it's a tough break. Not really sure why Montana State chose to do this, but I guess they have their reasons. Right now, it's going to be a challenge, I think, to, like Jason mentioned, to find a replacement. And it stinks because you really, truly, as a Bison fan, I would love to have the best of the best playing our team. I would love to see that. And maybe this is going to be for the best.
It could be. Yeah, I mean, even if we haven't... Yeah, and even if we have an open date, it gives the team a chance to heal up a little bit.
As I remember recently, there was a game, Georgia Southern, maybe it was the year before last, they were scheduled to come to Fargo. And they gave us, admittedly over a year's worth of to come back. That first time they came to Fargo, I think they were kind of shell-shocked. So I think by buying that game out, there's just something to be said for when you're playing top teams. And Montana State right now is a top team. They're going to miss out on that experience. NDSU's loaded. They may be a top 1 or 2 seed. I could see a scenario where Montana State may be playing in the Fargo Dome for a playoff game. So if I were them, I'd actually want to play.
So on a bit of a sad note, the Summit League opened, and it was a pretty rough day for the Bison women.
Yeah, they played USD. So as we tape this, the women lost by 20 points, 73-53, and the Bison finished the year 10-19.
It was rough. We had it pretty close until USD came up with an 18-0 run. That was late in the game. That's a pretty good dagger right there.
Yeah, just sort of flipping around and watching the game kind of periodically. We're up by 5. I mean, we were down by 2, I think, at halftime. We were up by 5, and I step away, and I come back, and all of a sudden we're down by, I don't know, 15 or 18, and it was really close to the end, and it's tough to come back from a deficit like that.
But on a brighter note, things are actually looking fairly decent for the men. So what do you think of our opening game here?
I'll tell you, so we've got Kansas City. We've got to play the Kangaroos. We're the 3 seed. And so we're going to play, as we tape this, they're going to play at 8:30. We're taping this Sunday night. I think it's a winnable game. It's not a guarantee. We've got to play 2 halves of basketball. We've piled up a big lead in the first half, and I've seen us where we've lost games in the second half because we go cold. South Dakota State's a good example.
I remember against Akron we had a lame first half and a pretty hot second half, but we just couldn't climb out of that hole we dug.
Even against Indiana, we weren't leading at halftime, but we were playing some good basketball. I mean, we were hanging in there. And then in the second half, we went cold, and they made some adjustments, and we weren't able to respond. You know, we've got Taylor Braun back. That's key. He had some big points in Omaha the other night. So he's had 2 games. He's got 2 games under his belt. He's got Utah Valley. Now he's got Omaha. And I think we're also in a favorable part of the bracket.
Your take, Big Mel?
Well, I'd agree. The favorable part of the bracket, indeed. We're playing. We're going to be playing a number 6 seed, and so you know, it's always again, you know, that's always going to be a good thing going into the playoffs. I would also say that in addition, you know, Trayvon Wright is coming off of the really coming into his own as a player. Just reading in one of the articles, I guess he is second in block shots. Certainly in the top 10 for I want to say for rebounds, and I think he's 20th overall in scoring. Definitely, you know, and that's for the Summit League. So again, impressive for a younger player that he is, and so the fact that he's coming into his own, going into the postseason, I think is going to add a lot to the Bison as well. It's going to be adding that element that perhaps not a lot of other teams are going to be able to really respond with, because he is. I mean, he's becoming a very formidable player out in the court. I would also say the team is getting back to 100%, going into the postseason, and not only that, but having a few of those games under their belt, leading into the postseason, having a few of those wins, I should say. I think that does a lot for the confidence.
I think you're right there. And Gene Taylor and Saul Phillips have done a good job of putting together enough big games for the Bison to be in, so that they're ready for this kind of tournament exposure. It's a young team, but they've been doing a great job of getting them used to the big stage.
I think, and the final part that I would have to say is the fact that Saul Phillips has been here. You know, granted he was an assistant at the time, but he knows. Basically, he knows that, you know, there's definitely, it's not a guarantee, and so he's going to prep the players accordingly. Yeah, we're perhaps the most favored team going into the Summit. You know, perhaps the odds makers in Vegas have us winning it, but again, what
that puts a bullseye on your back.
Dynamic.
Yeah,
and that's where Saul Phillips is really going to come into play as a coach, and be able to keep the team focused on the win, and not be so overconfident and then be surprised towards the end.
Yeah.
All right. So predictions for tonight's game. I think you know, like we said, Saul has the team pretty well prepped. We probably on paper we're the stronger team. I would say Bison 58, Kansas City 50.
I'm going to say Bison 75, Kansas City 68. Tukey?
You know, again, definitely NDSU on top. I'm going to count this kind of similar to you, Jason. I'm going to go with the 68 to 56 score.
Big Mel thinks it has the widest margin.
Yeah.
All right. So looking forward in the bracket, assuming we're right, Western Illinois is going to be an interesting game if they're still in it.
I'll tell you, we talked about earlier. I think we're in the favorable side of the bracket. You know, you've got South Dakota State, you've got Oakland, you've got some of the top teams that are in the top side of the bracket. We're in the bottom side of the bracket, and so we're there with you know, us, obviously Kansas City. We've got Western Illinois as kind of a notable, and so Western Illinois they're kind of a different team. Now there's a report that Terrell Parks has a chipped bone in his foot, or a broken bone in his foot, and so I don't believe he's going to be able to play. And so, if he's not able to play,
he's a big part of that team.
Yeah, that's a game changer for them. So I mean that puts us in a strong place to go. It's not automatic, but to push it all the way to the final.
And I would say that I would agree with that. Although just listening to some of the interviews on the local radio with the coach for Western, it's something that he's discussed. Obviously, it's a blow to the program, but he also discussed how they're able to adjust very well. And so certainly, I think that doesn't have to be very careful and not take them for basically as an easy victory. I think they're still a very dangerous team, even though their leading scorer is out for the season.
If you want to check out the Bison playing, the Summit League tourney, I believe, is being carried on DirecTV.
Yeah, so for those who have DirecTV, you can check out all the games, both men and women, on channel 623. Let's see here, the semifinal. So speaking about men, the men's semifinal is going to be Monday, 8:30. The Tuesday final is going to be 8 p.m. And so that's channel 623 on DirecTV.
Here's hoping we have a lot of Bison basketball to watch this week. Signing out from Huntsville and Fargo, go Bison!
Go Bison!
Bye.